Today, I'm joined by Brian Barris. He is a senior research scientist with Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada based in Lethbridge. He's been working on research that is slightly unconventional. Brian, what can you tell me about your research on early seeding?
It kind of arose from a thought that I had when I was actually driving down to Montana for a meeting about 2012, so coming on almost 10 years now. And what struck me was it was late March. It was one of those years where it was dry. And so the farmers down there weren't seeding, but they were actually out prepping fields and whatnot. And the thing that struck me always when it came to, especially Southern Alberta, but a lot of other regions too, is that, we only really planted when we thought it was, appropriate based on a calendar date. And yet here I am, and there's these guys going at the end of March. So they're clearly not as worried about a calendar date. They're just going when they think they can go. And so that was sort of the impetus behind the whole project. And then, taking an idea like that, and then stacking on, different components of a system to see, do we need special genetics? Do we have to alter management and so on? And so the idea that we coined was the phrase called ultra early seeding, and it sort of disregards calendar dates and instead has this prescriptive approach to it, where as soon as the soil temperature at the 2-inch level in the topsoil surface reaches or exceeds 0 degrees and conditions allow, go plant. And don't worry about when it is. Don't worry about what comes later. Just go and plant. And so, it throws a lot of conventionality out the window because, the first 3 years down here, the time that trigger, we call it a soil temperature trigger. Well, that trigger hit March 6th. Then the following year, it was February 16th. And then the year after that, it was April 24th or something. So you can see how unreliable a calendar date is, right? Yet we've imposed this on farmers, not from, even I think agronomists are somewhat guilty of it as well, but a lot of it derives from, the business side of things, banks imposing it, crop insurance imposing, you must be in by May 10th. And so you tell a farmer that and they're like, well, if I'm in by May 10th, it must be all good. But what we showed was that it was quite a significant reduction in yield if you waited until the recommended time to go. So it's been a little bit of an unorthodox approach that's proven itself to be quite reliable. And it at a minimum, you protect yield, but you're in earlier. But more often than not, you're getting a yield advantage as well.
That's so fascinating. It seems like it's more working with the land instead of the calendar, like you said. What were some of the results from your research?
Well, and you have to be real about it as well. Like it won't necessarily happen in every location at every year on the prairies, but we did run this site as far north as Dawson Creek, British Columbia. We ran it in central and south Saskatchewan. We ran it Edmonton, central Alberta, down here. And at a minimum, you get improved yield stability. So what that means is from year to year, field to field, a farmer will get more consistent, reliable results by going with this approach. And you won't lose yield. And more often than not, you will get both yield improvement and yield stability improvement. So that's been the one big upside. But then there's all these intangible operational benefits, right? You're in earlier, because you don't know what's coming in the spring for weather. And I think that's what's been sort of a bit of a deterrent about this, is that we all know we can get hit hard by late frosts, late snowstorms. So, the assumption is it's going to kill off anything that I put in too early when it comes to cereals. And we've proven that to be completely false. So that's been the upside. And the cool thing right now in the last couple of years is we've had farmers doing it. So we're really in this scale up phase now in both Alberta and Saskatchewan. We've got farmers trying it, with some trepidation because, they're the only guy in the community trying it. But they go out and they report back that they had the best results they've ever had. Now, sometimes they report back in between that to report, oh my God, I just got 3 inches of snow, or, it's up at the 3-leaf stage and we're getting -10 frost and so on. And, the first couple of times I heard that, I was terrified too. But in the end, the results were really positive.
Brian, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for your interest in it.